Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video of Kabana Entertainment Talks Disney. I'm Nicolai.
I'm Anthony.
And today we're going to talk all about Fantasmic and our trip to Hollywood Studios in Orlando. But before we do that, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Right. It's our first video back from the new year. We hope everybody had a great holiday last night. And hopefully they didn't party too hard so that they're able to enjoy these videos today. Like I said, this episode is all going to be about Fantasmic.
But we usually do trivia. So there is going to be an episode of the Santa Claus that we did. And we also did one for the Haunted Mansion. So go check those out.
Awesome. So why don't we just dive right into the beginning of the day?
All right. Sounds
Hollywood
good.
Studios. We got to the park. It was on a Monday, and it was a relatively, not really busy, just in general.
Very low crowd, I would say.
The lines or anything weren't super crazy. But the first thing we did, we ran over to go get a picture with Sorcerer Mickey.
There was a little bit of a twist with his line because you also got to do a photo op with Minnie Mouse. So after you were done with her photo op, then you go into a shorter line and you go see Sorcerer Mickey.
Yeah, it was really cool how they had that set up. I hope that in the future, the lighting for Mickey Mouse, for Minnie anyway, is a little bit better for your cell phone to take your picture. The photos that they took on their professional cameras with the flash and everything turned out really great. It's just the cell phone ones weren't so great just because of where the lighting was placed. But overall, the cast members in that line were super great. The line for that is a little bit longer just because you are getting to meet two separate characters, but that's understandable. After that, we headed over to Star Wars side of things to get our photo op with Darth Vader.
Yeah, that was actually pretty cool. But they also had movie posters for all the different films, and they had a poster for the Revenge of the Jedi, but that was the original name for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I did not know that. So it was cool to get to see that this alternative title poster existed, and that they had it in the park for us to enjoy. Because honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is a alternative version of Revenge of the Sith. And I'm so sorry to those Star Wars fans out there that are like those hardcore fans. I do like Star Wars. I'm just not super in love with it. I feel like I love the concept of Star Wars more than some of the movie concepts. But if you take me to Disney and we go into the Star Wars universe world, I'm in love with everything I see. So don't get me wrong. I am a big fan of Star Wars. So after that, we hopped around to some of the shops, and we saw that they were selling some of the Magic Band Pluses. And I was on the fence, just in general, about getting these, because I've gotten the normal Magic Band, and it was more just so that they could be, like, collectible items. So I have one for, like, the Muppet Show, I have a Hades one, I have a Hercules one.
I have one for, like, Shang-Chi and, like, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. And I even actually, now that I think about it, I got a custom one made on the last trip that we made. It was a purple one with Sorcerer Mickey on it, and it has my name actually printed on it, which I thought was really cool. Because you got the custom one for Kingdom Hearts, right?
It has my name on it.
So the day before, though, why we're kind of talking about Magic Band Plus is we saw that if you had Magic Band Plus and it was set up, you could go up to the golden statues throughout the parks and like wave at them, I think is what their signal is, and they talk and like play music. So overall, it kind of like pushes in the direction of like maybe we should get this and kind of like have some fun with this just in general and kind of like test things out. So of course I ended up finding one that has both Hades and Jafar on it, and if you know me, I'm a big Disney villain fan in general, so that was like the perfect one for me to start out with. And you set everything up, and you go around the park, and what's kind of cool about it when it comes to the statues is not only does it make it talk, but it knows when statues are around or within your area, so it vibrates and lights up, and it's almost like a spidey sense, and it's like, all right, there's a statue around, we got to go find it, which was really cool. Then, later out throughout the day, we're walking around, and every time we pass over by, like, where the Tower of Terror is, we see, like, these lines. And it's for the Beauty and the Beast show that they have over there. But in my brain, because Fantasmic just reopened in the grand scheme of things, that these people are crazy in love with the show like I am, and they're in line, like, 6 hours ahead of time. Thankfully, that was not the case. However, when we got to like 2 or 3 hours before the show, because the first show was what at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 o'clock and then 9:30.
Okay, so we were there for the first show, and the line of people were all backed up about like 2 or 3 blocks worth of space already. So we're like, we got to get in line so that we get some good seats. We did, however, while we waited in line, got to see them do their show that they have lit up on the Tower of Terror, which was cool to get to see. I don't think I've ever actually gotten to see that version before. So we finally, it gets time and they start letting us in, and we get to go pick our seats. And I of course was like, well, let's go to the front row.
Mm-hmm.
We've never sat in the front row. Usually it's like somewhere up near the top or the middle somewhere. And I know, for most people, it's like you get to see more from up there, but it's just you get to say that we sat in the front row for Fantasmic, which was really cool. So as we're sitting, we had some time because they were still letting tons and tons of people in. So I decided I'm going to leave my seat for a little bit, and Anthony stayed behind, and I was going to go explore to see if they had any kind of like merchandise or anything. Unfortunately, they told me that they had, I think it was like a sweatshirt or a hoodie at one point, but they sold out so fast. So hopefully in the future they have more Fantasmic merchandise just in general available. I'm sure everyone, that is a fan of that show would absolutely love to own a part of it.
I know I would.
Yeah. So as I'm walking around, they do have these cool like headbands that you can get for some of the villains. So I ended up getting a Hades one that has the flames on top, and it lights up in like 3 different patterns. But they also have a Maleficent one and an Ursula one, at least out of the ones that I saw. There may be more available as well. And the show is just about to start. We hear that great speech at the beginning, and I feel my arm vibrating. Now, remember, we talked about this where if a statue's near, it'll vibrate and light up. Well, mine was lighting up like crazy and vibrating. And I'm like, what in the world is happening right now?
Yeah, we were so confused. Like, we didn't understand, like, what was going on.
Yeah. So then the music starts to play for the show. And the lights are flashing and doing their thing. And I look down at the Magic Band, and the light up part of it is matching the colors of the show. And, like, the pulses are matching, like, the rhythm of the show. And so I had to, of course, take my phone out and just record the Magic Band light up. And I don't know. There was just something extra exciting about it. It was almost like being a part of the show in a way, or having that extra element to the show without actually being in the show. But because the show was shut down for so long, they went through and did added a bunch of extra pieces to it. So we got to see some extra live performances, like Aladdin. We saw Moana. There was Elsa. Mulan, yep. They did keep, for the most part, as far as I can remember, the live performers that were already in it. It's just they added a couple along the way. Mm-hmm. So it was really cool to get to see that they added them, and they even added them to like the water part of the show where they reflect different movies and stuff in the bubbles and in the water spray. Like they added Encanto, and Coco was added as well.
Yeah, I think Coco. I want to say Big Hero 6 was in there somewhere. Frozen was in there, and some of the classic Disney animated films were in there too.
Okay. So it is really cool to kind of get to see that as well. They also still have the princesses doing their dances with their princes on the platforms as they go by. They have the...
what is it? The neon animals?
Yes,
for
the neon animals. I just, for some reason, that was like drawing a blank. I knew what I was going to... like in that moment what I was going to say about that. But yeah, they had the neon animals, and they had in the background an instrumental version for The Lion King. So that was cool to get to see. I don't really remember that being a part of it.
I don't remember that being part of it,
but
I don't know.
In general, for me, this show has always been so exciting because it shows off so many of the villains in it, and they don't really have the villains walk through the park anymore. Like I remember, when we were much younger, getting pictures with like Hades, just like randomly out as if it was like Donald or Goofy or whoever it is that you see in the park. So I wish they would like bring that stuff back, but it is cool that they keep the villains alive in a sense in Fantasmic, and they get to battle it off with Mickey. And of course, Mickey. Spoiler alert: Mickey wins his imagination back. If you haven't seen the show, I'm sorry if I spoiled anything in that nature for you. But you do get to see Sorcerer Mickey fight against the Maleficent Dragon as well in the end, which is always a treat in itself.
Also, he fights Jafar as the giant cobra.
Yes, which is super exciting because you also get to see Genie Jafar in the water spray after Mickey rubs the lamp. And because he's like, what could possibly go wrong? I'm in the Cave of Wonders, and I'm going to find this lamp, and I'm going to rub it. And who comes out? Not Genie. No, but it comes out Jafar Genie, which was really cool. So everything about the show in general, I really loved. I loved all the changes that they added into it and all the stuff that they ended up keeping. There wasn't really any parts of the show that I remember in the past that I really loved that they took away, which was good. But how did you feel about the show just in general?
Honestly, I really enjoyed the show because I thought it was a really good showcase of their animated characters coming together in one show and having Mickey battle off against some of Disney's biggest villains.
Yeah. And of course, for those of you who've seen the show, they always have the boat that comes past the crowd with all of the characters, for the most part, from the park, waving and everything. So it was cool to get to see them again as well, because most of those characters that you see on the boat, you don't really get to see in the park, at least that we didn't see. They had the dwarves and stuff.
Stitch was on there.
Stitch he's over in Magic Kingdom still. Or no.
I don't know if it was just
I know he's
in Stitch or if it was a special version.
Okay. Because some of the characters on the boat are still in the parks, but there are ones like the dwarves, for instance, that, as far as I'm aware, you can't see in the parks anymore, which is a shame. They should have these characters, even if it was just random months where it's if you come in April, the special guest appearance by the dwarves all month, or whatever it is. I think it would draw more people in general, to kind of see that. But I'm glad, even through COVID and stuff, the show was not killed off, because with everything making changes throughout the parks and stuff, I could see how that show being probably as expensive as it is to put on, that it may have been one at one point or another on the chopping block. But thankfully, everybody that has seen the show really loves it and kind of kept it on. But is there anything you'd like to say about the show before or our day?
Well, actually, this is something after the show.
Okay.
So after we left, we noticed that the line for the 9:30 show was actually a lot longer than where we started, when there was a 2 to 3 hour gap in between, and there was only an hour and a half in between. It was already 6 blocks of the park back already. It was nuts.
Yeah, it truly is crazy how long people will wait to see this show, but it is well worth every minute they should wait in line, I promise you. But then after that, we ran over.
We're we're going to try our luck. We're going to go see if we can go on Rise of the Resistance in the Star Wars section.
Yeah, and for those of you who have not read that ride, it's about a 20-minute ride.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's crazy and absolutely amazing. So if you have not seen it, or rode it, I should say, highly, highly recommend doing that. But maybe not wait until the very end of the night like we did. We got lucky. But we rode it before, so it wasn't a huge deal if we kind of missed it this time. But that's all I have.
That's all I have too.
All right. So we will see you next time for another video on Kabana Entertainment Talks Disney. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, my name is Nicolai Kabana, and I'm from Kabana Entertainment. I love horror, and if you do too, I have the perfect place for you to get all of your horror merchandise. fright-rags.com. First off, they have customer service like no other. Second, they make new releases every single week, and they're 100% licensed. What are you waiting for? Head on over to fright-rags.com and place your order today.
This is Anthony from Kabana Entertainment. If you like Power Ranger videos, head over to Anthony Kabana on YouTube.com. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It is always appreciated, and I'll see everybody there.